Babalo and
Lebo.
Lebu.
Tato.
Tato. Okay, let me get into it right. A lot of people say that something is wrong with Gen Z. What are some of the problems which this generation is facing? Let me start with you.
We don't have a problem, ne? But you guys, ne? Our generation, some of you guys need to learn how to read. Read before you respond to stuff. I've seen how you guys act online, ne? You like to react without knowing what's going on, and it's killing us. It's killing us in arguments and debates. I'm sorry, that's the truth.
Okay, and you?
I feel like we are misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
We are a different generation. We're not gonna be the ones. We're not gonna be the same as people from back then because we have things that were not there back then. So we're different. We are misunderstood. That's all I can say.
Okay, and you?
Rephrase the question.
I said that a lot of people say that something is wrong with Gen Z. This is the worst generation. Therefore, what are some of the problems which Gen Z has?
I think you have a problem with chowing.
With chowing?
Yeah.
Chowing food or intercourse?
So, I can say intercourse.
Intercourse.
Yes.
So there's a lot of hookup culture in the Gen Z.
I can say back in the day, right? It was like sleeping with someone was taken as something that is very big. You see things like that.
Almost
But nowadays,
like
yeah, like there needed to be processes before you do something with someone. But now it's like, come to my room, you do it, like you don't tell your parents, things like that.
Okay, let me move on, right? So a lot of people, again, they say that Gen Z is soft, they are too sensitive, they are emotional. Is that true?
No, they say that about every generation.
About every generation.
Every generation. Before that, when they were talking about our parents, they said they're too soft.
They are too soft.
You will even see in old newspapers, even the thing where Gen Z has a problem. It's because older people hate whatever new people are doing all the time, honestly.
Okay. And you?
I think back then it's because people were more strict, so people were not allowed to express their emotions. But now we find out that there's something called depression, anxiety, and everything. There are platforms, therapy, so now we can go and express our emotions. And when we do so, parents think, "Hi, you guys are soft." Back then, I would walk 1 kilometer and go to school, but now we can't. We can't. We are not used to it.
I just second. Yeah, I second.
Okay, let me move on to the third one, right? Religion again. There are studies which show that people now do not go to church as much as they did 10, 20 years ago. Why do you think that's the case? And is it true?
The church has a lot of problems.
A lot of problems, such as?
Like the corruption, first of all, people's money getting stolen in the church when they give their all to God, but then their money goes to some pastor in Nigeria or something. And then the second is this issue they have in churches where, like, a lot of people feel disillusioned with it because in the church, like, people feel forced to act a certain way, but then when they go to the people who are leading the church, they're living completely different lives from what they're busy telling people to do. And it's something where, like, okay, ne, so you're saying this is a holy text, I must act like this and this, but you're not acting like that behind closed doors. Or something like they don't show proper conduct, and people are realizing more and more, like, Christianity, like the churches, they have so many problems like this. They give problems to, like, LGBT people. There are problems with Christianity with, like, black people. Like how it subjugates the mind, how doesn't it, like, it discourages critical thinking in the way other religions don't, which is why a lot of people are like, nah, let me not go to the church anymore. I feel like I'm in a very similar position when it comes to that in the church, me myself.
Okay, and the two of you, I'm gonna come back to that.
I feel like back in the day, because there were so many rules, so people were obliged to just go to church. So now in our generation, we question everything. Why must I go to church? Are you sure that I'm gonna reach heaven? Have you ever seen heaven? We have too many questions, which is why the parents just decide to back down and be like, do what you want. Then we decide we don't want to go to church.
And you?
Like, dude, nowadays, people are hungry for money.
Okay.
They could do anything for money, including telling fake stories about God.
Yeah, fake prophecies.
Yeah.
Also, you're saying people don't go because pastors
Not
are lying.
all people are not all churches are genuine. That's all I can
all
say.
churches are like that.
Okay, so how do you differentiate between a fake and a real one?
For me personally, I'm not really interested in, like, distinguishing between, like, the fake and real one. For me, it's like the community members because now I still don't really go to church because I identify as a Rastafarian, so that's not my scene. So I go hang out with other Rastafarians. But when I was learning to distinguish between genuine and fake churches, you'd look at the type of people going to that church and how they relate to each other.
Okay.
And
Type as in how caliber, do they look poor or rich? What do you mean by
oh
type?
no, I mean as in how they treat each other,
Okay.
how they relate to each other, as in do they respect each other? Do they like generating gossip and destroying each other's lives? That was a big problem at my old church. Do they have proper conduct with everyone they come into contact with? Do they discriminate against people because of something that they can't control? Like that kind of conduct with people in the church. And then also the messages that they're doing inside the church. So if they're promoting messages like unity, harmony, peace, be whoever you are, that kind of messages, not like you must be like this, you must be restricted to this box. That's when I know that's probably more going to be a genuine church in comparison to a fake one, where they feel like you mustn't think outside of this box, you mustn't be like this, you must listen to everything we say without thinking, you must just don't question us ever. And they just do not portray any of the characteristics that are like true Christianity, like being kind, being respectful, having regard for each other, being faithful to the God and God first before money, before anything. They don't display those kind of traits, and that's when you know when it's genuine and when it's not.
That was a very intellectual take. I won't even disagree with it. In the comments, you guys will let me know, right? So since we are speaking about religion, what evidence do you have of God's existence? What proof do we have that there is an actual God?
I haven't looked into it, but what I've seen from what people say that there is a real God
Why?
is that how intricately the universe and the world works together,
Okay.
and how it's been placed at every single thing, how life supports each other, how the universe was placed perfectly, that gravity allows us to stay on the ground without floating away, and that allows for life to be created, and that it all works together in harmony in a continuous cycle. That's why people say that's probably why God exists, because how is anything like that intricately woven together by just a random explosion like the Big Bang? How is that created just by that?
So you're disapproving the Big Bang Theory?
No, I don't disapprove it, or I don't approve